The disorder is excessive use of video games, and that means any kind of video game. So video game is a blanket term for all sorts of online or app-based or television-based gaming activities. And
family, this is big, this is not something to be messed around with. Share this around the world, especially in America, Jamaica, UK, Ireland, Europe, yeah? I'll take it back for you to see. Yeah, this is not a joke. So here we go, without further ado. This is what the video games are doing to our local children, to our adults, yeah? And this is why it's fundamental that you share this video with your loved ones. Okay.
The World Health Organization has classified or defined the disorder is excessive use of video games, and that means any kind of video game. So video game is a blanket term for all sorts of online or app-based or television-based gaming activities. And the definition of somebody who has a gaming disorder is somebody who is playing so excessively that it is impairing their ability to have social relationships, performance in school, performance at work, and that they're doing this activity to the exclusion of all other things. There are actually a lot of examples of this in certain countries, like in Canada, the United Kingdom, China, and Japan. There have already been efforts to create these, gaming detox centers for adolescents who have this disorder. And so examples of what that would look like is somebody who, the extreme example would be somebody who hasn't gone to school for 2 years, doesn't bathe, barely eats, and only interacts with people online through these games. At a minimal example would be somebody, like, for instance, if you're concerned that your partner or your child has this disorder, usually what we see is a decrease or a change in social behavior, a change in school performance, that they're spending more than 5 hours a day playing these video games. Some of the earliest examples of gaming addiction were identified in countries like Japan and China. And what was happening, this was a number of years ago, where Japan and China became very concerned about the fact that a lot of young men and some young women were becoming very addicted to this game called Second Life, or games like it. So Second Life is a type of game where you can create an avatar, and you create this completely different.
Doesn't that sound like that Fortnite rubbish where everybody keeps playing? Yeah? Well, carry on.
Alternative universe where you do interact with other people who are in the game, but you can create a whole new you in a way. You can create a different persona. You could even be a different gender. And what happens is that what they were seeing is that people who were playing this game were finding that world, their digital world, was far more engaging, more positive than their actual life. And so the suicide rates were increasing in these young men. In some cases, they were developing a gaming psychosis.
Don't worry, we're going to change that with the vibes and the music, because obviously when you're coming to our events now, you're going to be getting some real vibes. Yeah, none of these technology vibes what you're getting around the world.
Where they felt that if they had killed themselves, they could then live on forever in this other second life. There are people who are serious gamers, right? They really, it's a pastime that they enjoy. They have friends that they engage with, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as they have other things that they're engaged in, and that gameplay is not interfering with work, school, and other social activities. somebody who is doing nothing but video games, I would be trying to work with them to wean them off of the video games, setting time limits. Some countries like China and Japan have already done that, where they have limited access to online video games between certain hours of the day. So for instance, you can't play between midnight and 6 o'clock in the morning. You can only, like some of the game companies in China have limited the amount of time you can actually play their game, so to 2 hours, for instance. So we don't have those kind of regulations in this country, but I would be working with the person to come up with a way to wean them off. Some of the, sort of like detox centers, I'm not using the term exactly right, but the places that you can go to send your child if they really are super addicted to video games, they basically take a cold turkey approach, which is to, take away the video games completely from the child's life, engage them and try to help them find other things that would make them engaged. And then the deal is when they come back,
tell them to go play football in the park. Tell them to go ride bike. Tell them to go climb tree. Tell them to go swimming. Tell them to do something other than just stop in that yard and get their brainwashed, manipulated. Because I can't watch these things. I can't play these computer games. It hurts on my head. So imagine what it's doing to your little child.
Back home, those video games, access to video games are gone.
Yes.
Yes, they would love to. My brother-in-law in particular is really pretty upset with how much this has interfered with his life. That's why I mentioned that some of the people who are at risk are, kids with anxiety disorders. I think that's what's driving this, is that he has school avoidance, and this is the only other thing, because it's.
My man's supposed to say, watch this man play this damn thing. My man told me to play the thing. But yo, serious thing though. The TikTok and all that there. You know what's there? That's what that's why, if you're not putting out good vibrations and good energies and music and the right type of frequencies, that's it. Love. Yeah. Because trust me, the technology is dumbing them down. Yeah. That's why you use farming the fool. Yeah. Carry on. No life. Go join a karate club. That costs a bit, but honestly, the money you're spending on these computer games and the time you spend, you know what I'm saying? You said to learn a form of martial arts. Honestly, anything better than just sitting down there. I'm not saying you can't play it at all. Especially these games, these whatever PlayStation, but the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, the games are £2, £3, £5. You know the ones there did the same damn ass thing, kick ball into the net, fam. You know the ones there. What's the next one? And you can fam, just because they got new teams or whatever, just change the names and the players, fam. Same damn ass people, they're not real. There's people running about, kicking balls into the net. What's the next one? Shooting. And then obviously you want to go outside. Chill. What is this?
I'm a brain scientist, and as a brain scientist, I'm actually interested in how the brain learns. And I'm especially interested in the possibility of making our brains smarter, better, and faster. This is in this context. I'm going to tell you.
Well, then you've done it. That you're finished, Dave. If you're a brain scientist, but how can you make something smarter, blood? If you're smart, blood, you're smart, blood. If you're intelligent, you're intelligent. There's nothing more than you can't get more intelligent than intelligence. You can't get more smarter. You can't get more better. You can't get more faster. The only thing you can do is dumb it down. That's what's been happening. You dumb down the intelligence that created you, that created everything in this physical existence. It's intelligence that created every one of us. We are all intelligence. But you dumb down the intelligence, yeah? The intelligence, you dumb down the man, yeah? And then speed that make the woman smarter. That's what's going on. And then that's what's mashing up the whole quarter, yeah? Because everybody had their part to play. Women, you need to be able to go into your childlike state in order to interact with the child. Men, you have to stay in your masculinity in order to put food on the table and protect your woman and your child. All right, carry on.
About video games. When we say video game, most of you think about children. It's true. 90% of children do play video games. But let's be frank. When the kids are in bed, who is in front of the PlayStation? Most of you. The average age of a gamer is 33 years old, not 8 years old. And in fact, if we look at the projected demographics of video game play, the video game players of tomorrow are older adults. So video games is pervasive throughout our society. It is clearly here to stay.
Well, that's funny though. Imagine sitting there playing that with your big ass 80s, 60s, 70s, but it's just sitting on the computer game. Because that's where it's leading to, for real. Oh dear.
It has an amazing impact on our everyday life. Consider these statistics released by Activision. After 1 month of release of the game Call of Duty Black Ops, it had been played for 68,000 years worldwide, right? Would any of you complain if this was a case about doing linear algebra? So what we're asking in the lab is how can we leverage that power? Now I want to step back a bit. I know most of you have had the experience of coming back home and finding your kids playing this kind of games. The name of the game is to get after your enemy, zombie, bad guys before they get to you, right? And I'm almost sure most of you have thought, oh, come on, can't you do something more intelligent than shooting at zombies? I'd like you to put this kind of knee-jerk reaction in the context of what you would have thought if you had found your girl playing Sudoku or your boy reading Shakespeare, right? Most parents would find that great. Well, I'm not going to tell you that playing video games days in and days out is actually good for your health. It's not, and binging is never good. But I'm going to argue that in reasonable doses, actually the very game I showed you at the beginning, those action-packed shooter games, have quite powerful effects and positive effects.
This one's really, really interesting, yeah? So I'm going to do a part 2. Boy, yo, fam. This. Come on, wake up, man. Wake up. Yeah, part 2, I'll come straight after this. One love. Yo, the Jamaican and Irish Republic Army, we're coming together. And we're coming together in love. Everybody's Jamaican and Irish, you know what I'm saying? And everybody around the world. So no matter where you are, Asian, African, that includes you too. Chinese, Japanese, that includes you too. One love.